This video is going to give you some important test reminders for your upcoming test. We all know that the test for the Renaissance is scheduled for Tuesday, September 15th. And the format of your test, there will be 50 multiple choice questions, and there will be one SAQ, which stands for short answer question. So first, let me talk a little bit about your time on this test. I am going to make it available to you on Tuesday morning, starting at 8:30, and then it will close by midnight. So once you open the test, you will be given 53 minutes, which is the same amount of time we're given in a classroom. So in those 53 minutes, you need to complete all 50 multiple choice and the short answer question. Okay, so make sure you are properly prepared so that you do not run out of time, because I cannot give you extra time, if it does run out. So how are you preparing for the test? Well, you have, or you should have, all of the Renaissance outline notes completed by this point. If you've been keeping up with the reviews, we've highlighted the key points that you need to focus on when you are studying your notes. And students study in a variety of ways. You need to use what works best for you. Some students create note cards of key people and events. Some students make charts. So again, everybody has their own way to study. You need to use what works for you, and if that method doesn't work, try something different, okay? I definitely encourage study groups when studying is actually taking place. Y'all can have Zoom meetings to study, or however you want to organize it, but studying has to be going on. You can't just be having your own conversations. In addition to your Renaissance outline notes, I would encourage you to go back to your Machiavelli questions that you all turned in. Here's a reminder of what those 15 questions look like, and you should be able to still go back into Canvas and access these questions. But you all submitted answers. Hopefully you kept a copy of those answers. I would highly recommend you go back and look over that information as well, because some of this wasn't in our typed outline, but you're still expected to know it and to review it and understand it, okay? So just wanted to remind you to go back and look over this when you are studying for the test on the Renaissance. Next, I want to point your attention to a chart that ended up being 3 pages. Obviously, you can get it to 2 if you take 1 and print on the back. But what I did was I have posted all 3 pages of the contrasting Middle Ages information with the Renaissance. So let me show you what the first page looks like and how you can use this to study. So this is the first page, and it says here you've got the later Middle Ages and you have the Renaissance, and then you have various topics listed. So you can see what painting styles and techniques were evident during the late Middle Ages versus those painting styles and techniques during the Renaissance. So this is very important. We went over some of this in our outline notes, but this organizes it for you in one location so you're not jumping all over the place in your notes. You can see here they've compared and contrasted the architecture of the late Middle Ages with the Renaissance, the technology differences, what goes on with marriage and family in both time periods. Page 2 gives you some of the religious differences between the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance. You can see we've used that word scholasticism before, and of course the humanists. Just the ideal of man. You've got well-versed in one subject versus Renaissance man who is well-rounded and good in many areas for the Renaissance. The The literature differences, I would definitely look over that for the writings and how they are different from the late Middle Ages versus the Renaissance. You can see here, I wouldn't focus too much on the religion because we're going to get more into that later down the road. So you could probably ignore this part. The sculpture I would pay attention to because, again, that goes back to art, and we took a look at the painting differences. Now this is going to give you information about sculptures for late Middle Ages versus the Renaissance. And you can see here, more Gothic, extremely detailed, versus the Greek and Roman classical influences. Freestanding, best example of that's going to be Michelangelo's David. And then, of course, you've got the bronze material being used by Donatello with his David. Finally, on this last page of this chart, I would focus on the status of the women. We have a section of our notes that we talked about the women. So this, like I said, just kind of organizes that information for you, and it gives you what we know about women for the late Middle Ages versus the Renaissance. So I would highly recommend you look over those key differences on those 3 pages of the chart. And again, here they are for you to refer. Now, I'm going to stop this video so I can create another video for the SAQ, because the second part of your test is a short answer question, and I don't want to run out of time on this video, so make sure you watch the next one so that you understand how an SAQ is supposed to be written, okay?